Barbara Robinson, and I'm here for another Lehi roller mill cooking moment. And what I'm going to show you today is how to use our cracked wheat bread mix. We have another bread mix that is a country white bread mix, but the principles are the same. The first thing I like to do is I like to take my water and put it in a bowl. It calls for, on the directions, 1 1/8 cups lukewarm water. If it gets too cold, it slows down the yeast. If it gets too hot, it's going to kill the yeast. Yeast is a living thing. All right, then I'm going to take my 1 tablespoon. I poured some yeast into this little cup here, and I personally like active dry yeast. If you're going to use active dry yeast, you need to stir it into your water and let it activate and dissolve. If you're going to use the instant fast-acting yeast, you can just go ahead and blend it with your dry ingredients with your mix, and that's just fine. Okay, so you just sprinkle this across the top. And you can actually use this same spoon to just stir it in. So I just stir it good till it's all mixed in, and then I just set it aside for 3 to 5 minutes while I go ahead in my mixer and mix up everything else. I'm going to follow the directions, which calls for 2 3/4 cups bread mix. You're just going to fill it, take a knife or a straight edge, chop it across the top to fill in any air bubbles that might be inside, and then just slide it across the top. But I'm chopping across the top to get any air bubbles out, and then I'm leveling it. 3/4 of a cup. I've got a 1/4 of a cup measuring here. And there's the nice has cracked wheat in it, which adds to the fiber. I'm going to just pour the water in. Be sure to put the lid on. It's a safety issue. Okay, and now we're going to put it on the low setting. And just let it go for just a couple of minutes. You want it to pull away from the sides. Clean up those sides. Not stick to the bottom. So I'm going to turn it off now and check and see how wet it is. So make sure it's off. I'm going to put my hand in here, and it feels just right. See how that's a little sticky? It's sticking to me. But you'll notice when I turn it on, it's cleaning the sides and it's cleaning the bottom of the mixer, and that's what you want. I'm going to turn it on 1 and let it mix for 15 minutes. All right, our 15 minutes is up. All right, so now it's mixed for 15 minutes. You can see how clean the sides are, but it's still just a little sticky. Now I'm going to take another bowl. It can be glass, metal, plastic, whatever. I'm going to spray it with cooking spray. Okay? Drop it in there. The bottom of your dough is getting a little bit of oil. Okay, so I like to just get my fingers under the edge and tuck it in. And you can tell how it just gives it a smooth bottom here. And then I'm just going to take the whole thing and turn it over so we have a smooth top. Just like that. Now I'm going to cover it with oil, or with a plastic wrap, and I'm going to let it rise till it's double in height, which takes probably around 30 minutes. So we start out again with flouring the surface. So we want the whole surface to be floured. And if you've got big knuckles, you can hit it with your knuckles or your fists, whatever. You just need to stretch it out a little bit. So you start in the middle, roll out. Start in the middle, roll out. Start in the middle, roll out. And you just keep that process going all the way around. So it will retract. You want probably 12 to 14 inch circle. Don't worry if it's not a perfect circle. Just imagine you're making a great big pizza. You can kind of correct points that get a little further. Now we're going to just let this rest for a minute while I grab my cooking sheet. And I personally like to spray it with Pam. You're going to have to spray it anyway so your rolls won't stick. But I like to take a piece of paper towel and wipe it so that it's just lightly greased. If you want at this point, you can spread butter across the top. I'm not going to do that. I don't always do that. I feel like if you're going to ladle it down with butter afterwards, maybe you don't need the butter before, but some people like that. So it's all personal taste. So you just cut, and you can usually use a great big knife. You first divide it into fourths, and then you divide it into eighths, and then into 16ths. All right, now for the rolling up part. The same thing with the bread. You start with your thumbs, get it up. I like to take this first roll and stretch it out a little bit, and then you just roll and stretch it a little, roll, and then you've got a nice pinwheel. And I like to tuck that last little end onto the bottom so that it doesn't escape. Same thing here, stretch it, roll it. And see if your dough is just right, moistness. It's a little sticky, but it's not going to stick all over your rolling or all over your bread board. I like to turn mine sideways. It seems like it gives them a little more room to rise. So I'm just going to cover it with plastic wrap, but any kind of plastic you have. Sometimes I take a garbage bag and cut it up, and that way you have a bigger surface that you can cover. And don't tuck it in tight, because remember, they're going to rise. So they have to have room to rise, and we'll just set it over here. Okay, now our rolls have sat for about 20 to 30 minutes. They've risen to the point where they're slightly touching each other, but the main thing is they just need to double in size. And if you need to go somewhere and you can't get right to baking them, stick them in the fridge before they rise, and they will gradually rise in the fridge. Set them out for a half hour, 45 minutes, and let them heat up, and then you can put them in the oven and bake them. The oven's set at 350, preheated. Put them in the oven, and we're going to bake them for 20 minutes. All right, our 20 minutes have been up. I've checked, and it has taken 20 minutes. So we are taking them out now. You can check them just like you did your bread. Lift them up. You see how they're a little brown on the bottom, nice golden brown on the top, and those are done. Here we go with warm, delicious rolls. I would like to encourage you to enjoy them warm. My name is Barbara Robinson, and I am here with another Lehi roller